Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Ignorance and knowledge differ only in degree. They are not two different kinds. It's a degree difference. Lesser the ignorance, more the knowledge. Lesser the darkness, more the light. More the light, less the darkness. That's the connection he gives in the understanding of knowledge and ignorance. So now we need to see what is this knowledge and what is ignorance and what is wisdom. First, we try to understand the connection between ignorance and knowledge. Then we can move to knowledge and wisdom. Now, when we study this ignorance and knowledge, we find there is an interesting paradox exists between the two. From there only we derive this is the difference between knowledge and ignorance is only degree. And then subsequently we go to wisdom. Now, what is this connection, sir? Now, ignorance means when I am refusing to suspect my understanding on a particular idea, the subject, a field of inquiry, where I don't even suspect my understanding. That is called ignorance, where I am so sure about it. That's all. This is it. This is what that person is. I know that fellow. I know her very well. This is what she is. And this is what he is. That is called ignorance. The moment you start suspecting, it becomes knowledge. So when you are willing to suspect, when you develop the courage to suspect your understanding, that's the beginning of knowledge. Is my understanding complete? Is my understanding correct? Did I see the way I'm supposed to see? What I am seeing, what I am hearing, what I am smelling, what I am tasting, what I am thinking, what I am feeling. Is the feeling the same as I believe that feeling to be? Many a times we can't understand the difference between anger and disappointment. You're actually disappointed, you're sad, but that is interpreted as anger by you. You see, a lot of mistakes we make when it comes to life. That is where we see this, an interesting paradox in the connection between knowledge and this one. See the board. Wherever you are in that position A. The belief is there is a circle of ignorance and there is a circle of knowledge. And the assumption always we have is my ignorance is bigger than my knowledge. How much I know and how much I don't know is this. Now, when I'm gaining more knowledge, what should be happening, sir? The horizon of knowledge expands and occupies or conquers ignorance. And if I continue further is what? B, C, D, etc. Now, when you are in position A, you go to position B. With reference to position A, position B looks knowledgeable. And then, if that continues, position C is what? His circle of knowledge is far bigger than his circle of ignorance. A point should come, if you continue logically, there has to be a point where your knowledge should have conquered that entire ignorance. This is what science moves about. It moves in this premise that as I keep gaining more and more knowledge, we will get to know more and more things. As we get to know more and more things, we are conquering, we are expanding. We believe our horizon of knowledge is expanding. The circle of knowledge is expanding, we believe. Expansion means we are conquering the territories of ignorance. So the land of ignorance is conquered by the knowledge. One day, what should happen, sir? One day, we should be in that position, is what we believe. But ironically, that's not the way it works. It goes like this. We believe when I am in position A, when I increase my knowledge, I am conquering, is where we go, we believe. But factually, what happens is from A, when you increase your knowledge, what happens is you increase your awareness of ignorance more. If this is the case, what should be happening, sir? If this is the case, more and more knowledge you gain, more and more you become aware of your ignorance, more and more your circle of ignorance will keep expanding. Will keep expanding. This is what happens between knowledge and ignorance. You see, between this knowledge and ignorance, this is the problem. Now, which strategy, which way life moves? First style or the second pattern? Life goes with the second pattern, not in the first pattern. That's why in the beginning you believe, I've understood, I know so many things. That is what we see. The science teacher is far more eloquent in science. And the real doctors were totally confused. And there are doctors who are so sure. That's all you have to do. Say, the real doctor is really confused. I'm not sure whether this medicine will work. Try this one for 2 months and come back. Yes. Now we say what? No. That's not a good doctor. This doctor says that isn't. That fellow is lacking confidence. You see. This is where the problem is between ignorance and knowledge. Now, replace that word knowledge with awareness. It will become much easier. If you are not clear about it, replace it with awareness. Like for example, photography, if you take. When you are not knowing anything about photography, you believe what? I know this much, and there is something I had to know. I'm yet to explore. That yet to explore area is proportional to the area that you have already explored. But once you start conquering that area, your ignorance starts going growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. A point would come where unconquerable ignorance you get exposed to. That is what we call as unknowable. Philosophy introduces that. Philosophy starts from there. In science, or when I say science, what I mean is logical thinking. Wherever your intellectual understanding, your thinking can go only in these two domains: known, unknown. This is known, this is unknown. This is known, this is unknown. This is known, this is unknown. Now, Vedanta introduces, remember, man, there is something which is unknowable behind these two things. Because the unknown can be made to known one day. It is convertible. You can convert unknown into known. So when you are keeping only these two things, one day what will happen, sir? As we keep growing in our intelligence, in our knowledge, in our pursuit of knowledge, we will be conquering unknown territories and convert that into known. Everything unknown is converted into known. That is how we are growing. We feel. One day we didn't know whether the sun is moving around the earth or the earth is going around the sun. We didn't know this. We didn't know why apple is falling. Why? How is it that if earth is moving, rotating, it is constantly moving from that position? So when I am standing at a point, throw a stone in the sky, when it comes down, by the time the earth has moved, right? So the stone should be falling in some other place, because earth is supposed to be moving at the speed of some, 35 kilometers speed, something like that they say. So which means what? Which means about 500 feet the earth would have moved around. So when Virat Kohli hits the ball, you can't catch it. Why? You have already moved away. We are not seeing it. Why we are not able to? Why this is happening, sir? How this is happening? How is that one thing is more dense, other one is not? So many things we were not aware of. We got to know about it. How knowledge expands. As knowledge expands, we conquer that unknown. So that unknown is getting converted into known. Unknown is becoming known, unknown is becoming known, unknown is becoming known. This is what our normal intelligence goes. Vedanta says, hold on, there is one dimension, there is a thing which is behind this entire spectrum of known and unknown, standing beyond the two, which is unknowable. You cannot know it. At the same time, you cannot say it is unknown also. You cannot categorize into the bracket of known, nor can you categorize it in the bracket of unknown. It's neither. Then what is it, sir? The pursuit of that unknowable is where the wisdom begins. You're all with me? Ignorance, knowledge, wisdom. Ignorance, then generally we take very preliminary understanding of ignorance is whatever I don't know is called ignorance, sir. Little penetrative thinking will expose you that it is not just lack of that. Then what is it, sir? It is not suspecting my understanding. Then comes the third dimension, third layer. where you say you recognize there is a thing called unknowable, and moving towards that unknowable, and the staggering truth given by Vedanta is, it says it is unknowable, but you can become it. You cannot know it, but you can become it. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, says the Upanishads. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Now, immediately there is a problem with the word becoming also. Because becoming means what? You are not now. Immediately Vedanta corrects that also. Says, no. Don't take it to be becoming, please. You are that right now. Your ability to recognize that is called wisdom. It says, gain that wisdom. Now we have to go into, sir, what is this knowledge and wisdom? Too much of theoretical, philosophizations and, intellectualization and all is not helping us much. You say, okay, now if we have to go, how are we to get it? What is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? How do you recognize that? You see here, this will give you an idea of course, there are so many dimensions to recognize the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge means intelligence, means information that you gather from outside. Wisdom is building your intellect. Intelligence is thoughts. Intellect is thinking. Intelligence, knowledge means information. Wisdom means intuition. You are in tune with it. That's what it means. Intuition, don't think something, it's not a gut feeling. A lot of people misunderstand intuition to be gut feeling. Gut feeling is different. Intuition you will get only in the field where you have slogged. Gut feeling you get anywhere. See, that is the difference. A lot of people take, the gut feeling to be, oh, nothing will happen. We just say that. Sometimes most of us make stock market investments. On what basis, sir? Gut feeling. That's about it. Not in terms of your intuition. Intuition comes only when you slog, you work and work on a particular field or with reference to a particular problem. When you work with reference to a particular problem, your whole being is saturated with that particular thought or a particular problem, particular idea. At that point of time, something clicks. That is called intuition. That is wisdom. After your personality is saturated with the thought, you get intuition. Gut feeling, you get it just like that. That is, without any training, without any effort. Gut feeling is effortless, common. Everybody will feel. But intuition, everyone get it. That's how, if you see carefully, most of the scientists, they say, they found a solution to the problem just like that. How is it, sir? They got only that. Why? because they were working on the problem for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Lifetime they struggle with that one problem. Like Madame Curie writes in her, autobiography, says she was struggling with a mathematical problem for 3 years, it seems. Oh, you give, these puzzles to people you would know. You give a riddle. After 2 minutes, they come back and say, what is the answer? They are not fit. You see, this lady was struggling with one problem for 3 years. And one day she got so fed up. She closed the whole thing. She packed all her notes, everything, threw everything out, and told that assistants also, from tomorrow you don't have job because I'm not going to continue my work. I'm quitting. She went to sleep and she writes. Next day morning, to her horror, she saw on the table solution written down. Why she was horrified is it was her handwriting. You say, when did I write? How did I get it, sir? That's the secret. The secret is to suspend your little self. What comes after suspending the little self is intuition. That is wisdom. The scientists, these poets, these artists, painters, all those people get it once in a while. The man of wisdom is one who is permanently there. That's the difference. They get that intuition once in a while. That's why the ancient, scriptures, they call all these men of wisdom to be kavi, poets. Even poets were considered to be authorities. Why? Is because of this. Because they get into that frequency once in a while, but they can't stay there for a longer period of time. How do you gain knowledge? You gain knowledge by listening and reading. You listen more. You listen more. You listen more. You listen more. You will gain more knowledge. You keep reading more and more and more and more and more. You get more and more knowledgeable. You will not get wisdom. Remember that. You get wisdom by reflection and contemplation. You have to do mananam and nididhyasana. Shravanam will give you knowledge. Now you listen to this talk, you will gain knowledge. Now you can tell someone else. At best, what you can do with this is, if somebody were to ask you to speak on knowledge and wisdom, you can also eloquent about all these points. You see, why? Because you heard it, you read it. It sits in your memory. The consequence of knowledge is what, sir? You become critical. A knowledgeable person is one who is more critical in nature. A man of wisdom is one who is humble. You are also humble. Where? In any area of your life where there is a stake involved, you become humble. Where there is no stake involved, you don't become humble. You can see. That is why you are so humble to your chartered accountant. If you are with a chartered accountant for the last 7-8 years, you dare not speak against him. Why? Stake involved. You are so humble with a doctor. Why? Stake involved. With a lawyer, you are far more humble. With God, there is no humility. Why? If you say there is no God, what is going to happen to you? There is no stake involved, you see. Therefore, you're not. Now, that humility you experience, where, sir? We experience humility wherever there is a stake. Where there is no stake, no humility. To be humble towards everyone. That's a man of wisdom. The knowledgeable person has answers. Only problem for him is he doesn't have a quick question. A man of wisdom is one who always asks the right questions. You can't say just asks question. Even a child keeps on asking question. Why? 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 Asking why is not inquiry, please. Asking why is more of your mind tricking. So don't think by just by asking why this is happening, why this is the case, why should I go to temple? Like a lot of people ask me. Earlier I was giving an explanation. Now I stopped. People used to ask. They say, why should I do? Why should we go to temple? I tell them in which angle you want answer. You want social, you want economics, you want cultural, you want metaphysical, you want philosophical, you want spiritual. I will give answer from all the 6 angles. I have answer to the question, why you are going to temple? There are 6 angles to it. I'll give you answer. But can you promise me from tomorrow you will go to temple every day? Why? No. Now, but today he keeps asking the question, why should we go to temple? Why should we go to temple? As though because he doesn't know the answer, he is not going. So once he gets a convincing answer, he will go. I say from all the 6 angles, I'll give you answer. Will you go? Can you promise that you will go? Can you commit for that? The little commitment he can't give. But they keep asking question, why this is happening? Why this is happening? Remember, just asking question why doesn't mean you are inquiring, please. Your ability to ask the right question. What is the question that you should ask? You should know that. That's where a person, difference between a classical CEO and an ordinary fellow. Great leaders and ordinary people, not because they know so many things. It's only because of what? They know what to ask. And another classical distinction between knowledge and wisdom is a knowledgeable person is always certain. This is it. A man of wisdom always says, maybe. A man of knowledge is consistent. Man of wisdom is contradicting in nature. And the height of that contradiction you find is Krishna. There is no other master will fit in. That's why he is considered as Purnavatar. How eloquently he speaks for peace. With that same eloquence, he speaks for war also. It's very difficult to believe. Those who study Bhagavad Gita, study only the Bhagavad Gita portion of Krishna. If you read only Gita Krishna, then you will understand Krishna to be a warmonger. And Arjuna will appear as a man of non-violence, ahimsavadin. And Krishna will appear like a himsavadin. Because Arjuna is the one who says, we should not fight, no war. It is Krishna who says, no, you should fight. He speaks for war. Same Krishna, how extraordinarily he speaks for peace when he goes for peacemaking. Contradiction. A man of knowledge will be consistent. He will say, no war means no war. That's it. He is not for war means he is not for war. Come what may, no war. Or if he is for war, doesn't matter, fight. Whether we are winning or losing, doesn't matter. Fight. I don't want to give examples. I'm really getting tempted to give examples, but I don't want to, because immediately in the comments, 101 fellows will write. How can you say that? Is he such a bad person? Is he such a good person? You people develop your own examples. Okay. But the idea is this: a man of wisdom will contradict. That doesn't mean whoever is contradicting is a man of wisdom, please. Man of wisdom contradicts. That's what you need to hear. Now, the problem is your understanding will go as what? Okay, now what you will say? Ishwaran, I contradict. Why? Morning I told my wife I love you. Afternoon I fought with her. I hate you. They say. Morning I love you, afternoon I hate you. Contradiction, no. Therefore what? I am a man of wisdom. Converse need not be true. Remember that. The example they give for knowledge is moon. Wisdom, sun. The moon's beauty is because of the backdrop of darkness. That's why Mullah Nazruddin, when they asked, Mullah, who is better, sun or moon? Mullah's argument was moon is better. Why? Because moon gives light and darkness. In daytime, why you need sun? So you can do away with sun. This is his argument. Like that, we also think. This knowledge and wisdom. This is only a limited thing I have given to you people to understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom. There are so many different angles are there to understand knowledge and wisdom. This is a very basic one. That's all I have given. Now, knowing this, we ask the question, sir, how do we develop wisdom now? Now, if I have to move away from ignorance, I have to go to wisdom. How do I move from ignorance to wisdom? What is the way? And that's what he gives here. How to gain wisdom. For which, first thing you need to understand is the resolve and the decision you have to take that I am wanting to move towards wisdom, not to get sidetracked or complacent with knowledge. Many of us begin the search of wisdom, but settle down with knowledge. Remember, that's the first step. An essential prerequisite for acquiring wisdom is awareness of your ignorance first. First, you need to aware and acknowledge. Yes, this awareness understood is acknowledgement. If the acknowledgement is not happening, the awareness that you claim is not a true awareness. It's a pseudo. But however, to make it clearer, I'm saying, when you say awareness includes this acceptance. You acknowledge, you accept and say that I don't know. Most difficult statement to be made in life. I don't know. That doesn't mean every time you say I don't know. When somebody asks what's your name, I don't know. They'll think that is your name. Okay. Like in South Africa, people keep names like that. One girl, I met her. I asked her, what's your name? She said, sorry. I thought, she got angry with me. So I said, no, I'm just asking what's your name. She got really angry. Sorry. I thought, she was so more angry. After that, only the fellow called. He said, hey, come this side. Her name is sorry. She's answering that. Vessel. We had no the fellow Kepler vessels. Vessels. Some weird names they have. At least it appears weird for us actually. If you go and tell him Muniswami, Kandasamy, you go and tell that fellow, he says, what? For us, it looks like that. That's all. It is so interesting to see people, how they have it. Now, to be aware of your ignorance, say, learn this thing to say, I don't know. You are ready to master that. If you can master that, your life is settled, says Josh Billings. So the first step is to say, I don't know. Okay, you don't know now. Now what do you do? Then what happens is, you cannot keep quiet with ignorance. The moment you recognize that I don't know something, and also you have recognized the value of that. See, both should be happening. That's why he's explaining all this, the whole, drama, all the confusions, whatever we saw, is to trigger that interest to pursue wisdom, understand the value of wisdom. So one hand you need to understand I don't know. On the other hand, you need to understand the value of it, the need of it. Like, I don't know Korean language. I'm aware of that. But I will not go and join a Korean class, even if it is a free class. Why? Because there is no need for me to learn that language. I don't see the necessity of that. You see? So, awareness of ignorance coupled with the value to pursue this should be the case. Now, in the pursuit of knowledge, we have to go through a proper steps. So you come with ignorance. You have come with that interest and you come with ignorance to this. Then what? First thing he gives here is, there are certain mistakes we make. And Buddha cautions against that. This is a very interesting caution he gives. When you are pursuing your knowledge, do not make certain mistakes and what you should do. So he gives two things, what you should not do and what you should do. What you should not do, he gives, do not believe what you have heard. That doesn't mean whatever you hear, you should not believe. Okay. Just don't take it for granted. That's what it means. Don't believe what you have heard. Means don't take for granted whatever you hear is correct, is truth, is real. Do not believe in tradition, because you have to add that one more word there. Within brackets, you add the word just because. Otherwise it looks little easier for most of us to fall down and say, do not believe in tradition because it is handed down many generations. Do not believe in anything that has been spoken of many times, because we take all these things to be knowledge actually. Whatever you hear, you take it as knowledge. Yeah, I heard it. That's what it is. Out. Same way, it's been handed down many generations. From many houses we go. In our house, we do it like this. I say, who started it? Your great grandmother started it. As though your great grandmother was an authority on tradition. Some houses, they have this. They say, in our house, for this ceremony, we call 4 Purohits. Another fellow says, no, 4 should not be there. Only 3 should be there. Another fellow says 3 or 5 is okay. 4 should not be there. Now, on what basis you fix? In our house, that's how it is being done. See, generations. That's because it is handed down. That doesn't mean because it is handed down generation, you have to reject it as wrong. That is also not correct. Don't believe anything that has been spoken of many times. Means what? Advertisement. You keep on seeing the advertisement, 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 advertisement. Then what happens? Like that officer in our passport office here. And I went there to renew my passport. Supposed to submit all the documents online. I have uploaded all the documents. And you have to take a copy of that also to show. And I went there. I missed, to take one, document, one side of that document, photocopy I was not having with me. There's people are there. She saw that and she got so annoyed. And she threw that to me and said, get a Xerox copy. I took that and asked her, will Canon do? She said, what? I said, no, you said Xerox. Suppose if that Canon machine is there, if I take from there, will it be a problem for you? She started laughing. Hey, you sit down. I said, what is the difference? Xerox is a company that makes the photocopying machine. Right? Wherever you go, you see only the Xerox, 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 Xerox. So what had happened to user? Xerox copy. You say, no, it's called a photocopy. It's not Xerox copy. Xerox is a company. Canon is another company who also makes. I don't know what other companies that makes. I know only these two companies. Remington also may be making. I don't know. Yeah. Spoken of many times. Because that's been displayed many times, repeated. People used to go and ask, Colgate paste. You say toothpaste, don't say Colgate paste. Why? Keep repeating that, repeating, same thing. Do not believe because the written statements come from some old sage. Some old man says means, don't believe in that. Don't believe in conjuncture. Don't believe in authority or teachers or elders. Then what to do, sir? Then he gives a formula. But after careful observation and analysis, when it agrees with reason and it will benefit one and all, then accept it and live by it. The V is missing there. Right? Typing error. Then live by it. But after careful observation and analysis, when it agrees with reason, so what you need to do is carefully you go to analyze, reason, and then if it agrees with the laws of reasoning, then something which is agreeable to the reasoning, but it doesn't benefit people. It doesn't benefit the parties involved to one and all. Then don't take it, reject it. So what is to be done? Sir, don't do these things and do this. This procedure of Buddha is what is given by Swamiji as two statements. He says all that you have to do is only two things. If you want to gain wisdom, what you should do? Sir, follow the two rules. Don't take anything for granted. Question everything. Two things you follow. This is the process. And the process of gaining wisdom is explained with a beautiful metaphor, example of the process of curd making. It is likened to the process of curd making. How do you gain wisdom? And it beautifully fits. You see, how do you prepare curd? Go step by step. Those who don't know, ask your husband. Right? You'll know better. How do you prepare curd? You warm the milk. The milk should be in the lukewarm condition. Those who don't know, if somebody were to ask you what did you learn in Vedanta class, you tell them, learned how to prepare curd. Warm the milk. Milk should not be cold, nor the milk should be hot. It should be lukewarm state. One. Then to that warm milk, you add little curd. The earlier curd, what is set, you take the curd and add it. Then stir it, mix it well, and then leave it overnight. Next day morning, when you open the vessel, that fluid milk would have transformed to a solid curd. Then the curd was taken, churned. When you churn the curd, butter gets separated. That separated butter is collected for a period of time. Usually it is done for 15 days. They do it like that. And it was kept in a fresh water. And they keep replacing the water. Every day, curd, they churn, extract a little butter and preserve. Add a little butter, preserve. Add a little butter, preserve. So all that butter is preserved in a pure, cool water. Not ice water. Water by itself is cool in nature. In that fresh water, it is kept. Then after 15 days, a substantial quantum of butter is collected. That butter is heated. That heated butter transforms into ghee. The butter will get spoiled. Original butter. Our Nandini butter will not get spoiled. It will stay for months together. Nothing will happen. But if you take butter, actually, it will not stay. It will get spoiled. But ghee will stay for a long period of time. If you go to Kerala, they will give you, 300-year-old ghee alla they have. They say, how that is possible. That transformation is what Christ's first miracle was. Water to wine. It is water. What is the difference there? Wine stays for longer, eternal. The life of wine is eternal. Water is not. It will get spoiled after a period of time. Temporary. The temporary beings were transformed into eternal beings. Eternal. That infinite. That transformation is what he was doing. Now, we don't think, he is actually making, water to wine. Some of my friends were really liking it. They said, we should have more Christ. Why? Every house, they will convert water to wine. Don't reduce a master like that, please. An extraordinary master. Giving a simple one. What is it, sir? Transformation. That thing gets final. The ghee is permanent. This is the steps. Okay. In that step, first one is the milk. The milk is your mind. The current state of your mind is so fluid. It is running everywhere in all sorts of directions. There is no direction or dimension to mind of yours. It is running everywhere. Your personality is like that. That personality needs to be transformed. How do we transform it, sir? First thing you need to do is what? it should be in a lukewarm state. Lukewarm state is what life provides. Your life experiences makes your mind lukewarm. A lot of people ask me, sir, this Vedanta should be taught to kids. You cannot teach it to them. Why? Their mind is too cold. Personality is too cold. It cannot be taught to a man who is totally involved in the world also. Why? Too hot. The too hot, not fit. Too cold, not fit. Then how it should be, sir? Lukewarm state. That's the ideal condition. To that personality, to that mind, what we do, a little curd is added. Little wisdom from the scriptures, little knowledge from the teacher gets introduced. Very little. For a liter of milk, you just put 2-3 spoons. That's it. Not much. If you add a half a liter curd to a liter of milk, it will not set proper. Then what you do? Stir it well. So the first step of adding that little thing is called shravanam, listening. Then mixing that is called mananam, reflection. When you do this shravanam and mananam, and then what? Leave it overnight. Allow that knowledge to settle down in you. When that knowledge settles down, your personality gets transformed from fluid condition to a solid state. Fluid means running everywhere. Solid means you keep it, it stays. Your mind stays with your body, with wherever your body is, whatever you are doing. Your mind stays there. That is called a solid person. That personality is further churned with contemplation on what is truth, what is real, and what is unreal. When you start probing into that analysis of what is real and what is unreal, that's the churning. The churning should be done to the curd. If you do the churning with milk, what will happen? That's what a lot of us do now. Before you even transform your personality to curd, you do the churning. What is real? What is unreal? Nothing will happen to you. You can go on inquiring. Butter will not get separated. That little butter that is getting separated, that is called wisdom. That little you get. That wisdom can be preserved only in the pure emotion of bhakti, devotion, gratitude. If there is no devotion, you can't preserve that wisdom. You will lose it. And if you see mistakes, the spiritual errors people make, they make every step there are errors. Either too hot or too cold, they try. Or they add more curd, get spoiled. Or they add too little, spoiled. Or they add and not mix it, mistake. Or they mix it but go on disturbing it, checking. Has it set? Is it set? Every half an hour you go on opening the lid and keep checking whether the curd is ready. Like I was told, I had this belief actually. If you keep this, I don't know how many of you have done this peacock feather, you keep in a book. You will get another peacock feather. Kuti podonu. That peacock feather. I genuinely thought it will happen. So I kept it in my book. Checking there. Then that fellow told me, no, you should not check. You should keep it in a book and you should not touch that. I said, fantastic. I kept it in my Max book. Because, once in 6 months only we open that. Otherwise, other books, we have to touch. This book, we don't have to touch. Still, it didn't work. You don't keep on opening that place. You can't plant a seed and keep opening up and checking whether it has started sprouting. The very act of you checking whether it has sprouted will disturb the sprouting. So what you have to do, sir, leave it alone. You think and forget it. Leave that alone. Automatically the transformation will happen. That transformed mind, that solid, concentrated mind, that mind, when you apply to contemplation, you get little wisdom. You don't get total wisdom. You get little. Little by little you collect. That collected wisdom together is burnt in the heat of meditation. That butter transforms into ghee. You get realization. That is the process, he says. The process of gaining wisdom is this. Now, what is a proof that you have gained wisdom? And what will happen if you don't gain that wisdom? You find there is a problem people have in the world. Now, it is not just at every step you move in this direction, to that extent you will get the benefit. It's not that only after ghee only you get the benefit, please. No. At every stage there is a utility to it. Lukewarm milk has a value. Milk itself has a value. Right? Cold milk has a value. Hot milk has a value. You can have badam kheer this way or badam milk that way. It's useful. You make that curd, it's useful. You extract butter, useful. You get ghee, superbly useful. You see, like that. This wisdom process also has a practical application and a value for it. How would you know whether you are growing further? What is the test? That's where he goes and gives this analysis of human nature. This human nature is divided into two categories. People who are aggressive, people who are passive. There are broad categories of human beings are aggressive, passive. Please remember, when I'm using that word aggressive and passive, he specifies in the book. This is not to be taken in the usual sense of the term, aggressive and passive. Aggressive person means the one who employs his thinking, his intellect to action, to whatever he is doing. Passive means the person who follows the dictates of his mind. He is called a passive person. So aggressive person is one who employs thinking. Passive means a person who follows his mind blindly. Following the mind is passive. That is further classified into two sections. This aggressive, passive, and then that is also further classified into two sections. See the board. Aggressive, passive. This aggressive is classified into two further as good, bad. Passive also is classified into two sections, good, bad. Thereby, we get four types of human beings in the world. Either you are aggressive good or aggressive bad, or passive good, passive bad. Now, who is aggressive, sir? Aggressive means the one who employs intellect in life's activities. One. Passive, the one who follows the impulses of the mind. Now, what is this passivity? Passivity is you just follow the course of your mind. You just follow whatever the mind says. If your impulses were to be good, you are a good person. Your impulses were to be bad, you are a bad person. You have good desire, you are a good person. You have a bad desire, you are a bad person. That's about it. So there is no, rule as such here. He doesn't guide his things. You are habituated to live in a particular way. Like, I am a vegetarian. Why I am a vegetarian? A person says, I'm a vegetarian, sir. Why you are a vegetarian? Because from childhood, in my house, they have been cooking only vegetarian food. I go to my uncle's house, vegetarian food. Aunt's house, vegetarian food. My niece house, vegetarian food. Cousin, vegetarian. Vegetarian. Everybody is vegetarian. Therefore, I am a vegetarian. Another person says, I am a non-vegetarian. Why you are a non-vegetarian? Because in our house, they have been cooking non-vegetarian. He was non-vegetarian. They say passive, this is what it means. The fellow goes from all the way from here to Manhattan. In Manhattan, the fellow is asking, is there Saranabhavan hotel here? A lot of people, they go for this yatra, they go for yatra, the 27 days, these days and all that, they go for the tour and they come back. When they come back, you ask the South Indian fellows, what did you miss? They will never say, I missed my family, my wife. I will not miss. What did you miss? The fellow says, I missed the filter coffee. As soon as he comes back, first thing you need to prepare is what? Filter coffee and vattakodandu. That's what I've been missing a lot. That is called passive. You just live life out of what? Habit. Every one of us have got a particular habit. Out of habit, you just live. That is called passive. It so happened you had cultivated a good habit. It so happened that they have cultivated. Like, Westerners, you go, they say, I don't know. It's a habit. It's not that they are very humble people. Because we just saw, some time back I was telling, I don't know. You say, that's mark of wisdom. Correct. You can develop that into a habit. Like you say, I love you. What is it? Habit. Oh, I feel so sorry. Then what sorry you are feeling actually? You hear a news. You are supposed to say I'm sorry. You say I'm sorry. That's all. After that, you continue with your your match, your football match or your cricket match. You just continue with that. You send a message. That's all it is. I wish you a very happy birthday. Are you happy the fellow is born? You're waiting actually when the fellow will go. And then you say what? Happy birthday. Why? Habit. It's not that you are, cunningly saying nothing of that sort. It's just habituated to do things. You see, out of habit, you do things. That is called following mind. Aggressive means the person who plans, who schemes, who decides. He thinks, decides, and executes action. It's fascinating to see. Now you got to have at least someone in your life. I was so lucky enough to see a person who used his intellect. I got convinced, yes, intellect is possible. Otherwise, if I wouldn't have seen, there's no way that I would be able to speak. Not that I know I'm speaking. I've seen it functioning with intellect. It's unbelievable to see. Who employs his thinking. It just functions. Passive fellow functions. This. Now comes the tragedy of life. In life, we interact. In the interaction, there is always a conflict, there is always a dilemma, there is always a fight. If there is a clash, what happens? What we see is, if there is a clash between passive good and passive bad, passive bad will win and the passive good will suffer, lose the battle. Okay. If there is a clash between aggressive bad and passive bad, passive good, aggressive bad will win. He will overpower. To handle that aggressively bad person, you need aggressively good person. Only aggressive good can deal with aggressive bad. That is what we see in the story Mahabharata. The Pandavas were passively good. It's passivity. Pandavas. Duryodhana, the Kauravas were aggressively bad. They plan and scheme and trap. They scheme and trap these fellows. They lose. Fortunately, these Pandavas surrendered to Krishna, who is aggressive good. Aggressive again means what? Who employs his thinking. He will also do planning. He will also do scheming. He will also do everything. But all that is only for what? Goodness. It stems from goodness. It stems from dharma. It stems from unselfishness. Whereas this aggressive bad is, he plans and schemes and does things only to get his end met. That's called aggressively bad. Now you need aggressively good person, or maybe more aggressively bad. It's not only you have to become aggressively good. You can become more aggressive bad and destroy also. That is also possible. But then you become I think this is what we call as the big fish eating the small fish. The big fish eating the small fish. What is big fish, sir? Who is big? This aggressive good is far bigger than this aggressive bad. Because of a fundamental reason. There are two things that supports. One, what supports the aggressive good is the dharma. Supports. Number one. Number two is the aggressive good has complete suzerainty over his personality. Whereas this aggressive bad has the capacity to employ his thinking within that frame. Within that particular area, he has a complete control. Beyond that area, he has nothing. He is useless. That's aggressive bad. Passive fellow has no control. He happened to be good, happened to be bad. Passive. So, when we cry, bad people flourish, good people suffer. Remember, you are not suffering because you are being good. You suffer because you are being stupidly good. You suffer for your stupidity. You suffer for lack of application of your buddhi. And this gaining that wisdom itself is such a joy. You see, just that wisdom. You don't have to use it. Just develop it. Gaining that is a joy. See, for all of us, gaining your degree is not a joy. Isn't it? The degree should fetch you a job. With the anticipation of the job that the course can give you, you go through the pain. You see, it's not that this IIMs and IITs and Oxford and all, they're enjoying the study. They're not enjoying their study. That anticipation of a future security, that opulence, that good job that they can get in to, that makes them go through the pain of the study. Like you go to office, you struggle, you work so hard. Why? Imagine how much ever you work, you are not going to get paid. What will you do? There is no guarantee. Try this with your servant. You will know. Don't do that. Okay. But if you have courage, try. Just call your servant. When she comes, tomorrow, tell him, I have one issue to discuss with you. You can most welcome to come to job. I'm not saying you should. I'm going to stop you. Don't get scared. But there is one problem I have. The problem is, for next month salary, I don't have money to pay you. You decide. You take a call. You want to come? You don't want to come? You take a call. I'm not going to say anything to you. You can be 200% sure she will not come from next day. She'll say, come, later. Now, don't think it is only her. That is what you will also do. You are going through the pain. You are going through the pain of labor for the joy anticipated, the child. Laboring is not a joy. That's what the Bible says. Let her give forth birth in pain. In pain, let her give forth birth. What is that? Anticipation. You live in that anticipation of joy. You are not joyful, the process itself. Playing cricket is not a joy for the cricketer. Anticipation that I am going to be selected for that team gives them. That is why you see all the cricketers, as soon as they retire, what happens? Will they go to the nets next day? Are they having a training next day? You see all the old cricketers, all of them. It's a pain. But they were willingly going through that at that point of time. Not because that is joyful. The joy is in the effect of it. What he gives here, he concludes the chapter with this, the joy of learning. In wisdom, you put in effort to gain wisdom is a joy. Not after gaining wisdom. The joy is not after. The joy is not after I get to that ghee. After getting ghee only am I. No. The starting itself is a joy here. From the beginning till the end is joyful. Yes. So don't think it is not valuable. It is so relevant. It is so important for you to live in this world. If you want to live in this world, you have to deal with people who could be aggressively bad. But my recommendation is pray that there is no one in your circle who is aggressively bad. aggressive bad don't encounter in life, which is very rare. You don't get, hundreds and thousands of aggressive bad will not be found. One or two you will see here and there. That's about it. But you don't interact with those people. If at all you come across anyone, you're finished. Then how do you can manage, sir? Only two options. Either you surrender to aggressively good person, or you become aggressively good. You want to serve the world, what you need to do, sir? Become aggressively good. This aggressive goodness is the greatest service that you can render to the world. You don't have to do anything. Is it a painful job, sir? No. It is such a joy, he says. The process. Go through the process of gaining wisdom. Thank you.